We're now in a new section of our AutoCAD 2017 Essentials course. And what we're going to be looking at is creating layouts and their associated annotation. So we're talking about things like title blocks, scaled viewports, basically in an effort to communicate our design intent with AutoCAD itself. Now what we want to do is we want to show information from the Model tab in a Layout tab. So we're going to create a new layout and then we're going to add a viewport to a particular scale to that layout. Now you'll notice in the bottom left corner of the drawing we have the Model tab and the Layout 1 tab. There's a little plus sign next to the Layout 1 right down here. If I hover over that I can create a new layout just by clicking on it. However, you might want to copy an existing layout. If that was the case, you'd right click on Layout 1 and use the Move or Copy tool. So if I click there, I can create a new layout, which is a copy of Layout 1, move it to the end, and create a copy like that. So if I click on OK, you can see now I now have Layout 1 in brackets 2, and it's exactly the same. Or, if I just click on the plus sign, that just creates a blank new layout called Layout 2. So I can create a new layout in two different ways. Now, Layout 1, if I click on it, you will see it's just a blank sheet of paper. You can see the dashed lines indicating the printer limits, and there's the default viewport there. And it's on the layer 0. Now, that's not really what we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize this Layout 1, and I'm just going to delete that viewport. I'm going to click on it, like so. And what I'm going to do is just hit the delete key, get rid of it. You will notice that anything that refers back to the model, i.e. the building and the grids and everything, disappears as well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a basic viewport on Layout 1 on its own layer, and then I'm going to scale it. Then what I'm going to do is rename the Layout tab so that it refers to what's actually in the viewport itself. So go to the Home tab on the ribbon, go to the Layers panel, and you'll see that we've got a whole load of layers in there already. I'm going to go to Layer Properties, and I'm just going to expand this a little bit so that we can see the names of our layers. And you can see if I scroll down, there is no viewports layer. So I'm going to click on the new layer icon here, and I'm going to create a layer called viewports. I'll put it all in capitals. And normally I tend to use a color like blue or something like that so it stands out. So I'm going to use that pale blue there like that, which is color 150. Click on OK. I'm going to make viewports the current drafting layer as well. So just double click on the little sheet of paper next to it, and you can see current layer viewports, close the layer properties manager. Now I'm going to create a new viewport. Now because I'm in paper space now rather than model space, you'll see that we have a new tab at the top of the screen, Layout. I'll click on that tab. It's a contextual tab, but you'll notice that we have Layout viewports as a panel. If I click on the flyout here, I can pick a rectangular, polygonal, or draw an object and make it into a viewport. I'm just going to go for rectangular in this case, like so. Prompts me for a corner of the viewport. Now I'm just going to click somewhere inside the printer limits, click once, drag the viewport like that, and click again. And there's my viewport. Now any viewport that you create will automatically zoom to the extents of the model, as you can see. So I've got the whole thing there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to double click inside the boundary of the viewport to activate it. You'll notice it goes a darker, bolder blue. And basically down here on the status bar it's telling me that I'm in model space. I'm actually in a thing called floating model space. So I can now zoom and pan in the realms of this viewport. And I want to go over to the left hand side and zoom in, and I want to get the stairs dead central in the viewport like that. So just click a few times on the wheel of the mouse. It doesn't have to be perfect because you can resize the viewport if you need to. So I've got the viewport in place. Now I need to check the scale. If I come down here, can you see on the status bar I've got this number? That's the selected viewport. I can click there and adjust the scale. So there's all my default scales. I'm going to go for 1 to 20. That reasonably works. That's not too bad. I'm just going to pan that a little bit and just get it roughly central in the viewport. So I've now got a 1 to 20 viewport on my new layout tab. If I double click outside the drawing area, that deactivates the viewport and leaves it where it is. Now don't worry if it looks a bit messy at the moment. As we work through this section, you'll see how to tidy up viewports, add a title block, freeze viewport layers, and various other things. And you'll see how a viewport becomes very clean. So let's have a look now at layout 1 down here. I'm going to right click on layout 1 and I'm going to rename that and I'm going to call it Stair A. That's Staircase A. Press enter and you can see now I have a new layout tab all set up, Stair A, with a new viewport on its own layer scaled to a known scale. So if I click on the edge of that viewport and select it like that, just click on the edge of it, there we go. Tells me it's 1 to 20 down there on the status bar. Hit escape to deselect, like so. So you've got your new layout tab set up, you've got your viewport set up, and it's all to the right scale.